Kemi welcome to Talk. It's the first time I've been able to interview you. The race is underway. You and Robert Jenrick, the final two. You wrote in the Telegraph this week that you're the only one that can kind of unite the Tory party. You're the only one, the only candidate, and they must get it right. Is it now kind of the gloves are off for you and Robert Jenrick?
Well, the gloves have always been off for me, but that's because I've been tackling Labour most of the time. And that's what I mean. That I am the candidate who has been consistently...
Kemi Badenoch's nuclear response. Sore losers and Conservative civil war nobody's talking about. Well, if you thought Conservative party drama ended with Liz Truss's letters moment, think again. Kemi Badenoch has just delivered what can only be described as a political nuclear strike against her own party. And frankly, it's about time someone said what everyone's been thinking. The Conservative leader has come out swinging against what she calls sore losers pushing for Robert Jenrick to replace her, but what she's really done is expose a festering wound at the heart of modern Conservative politics that nobody wanted to acknowledge. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this isn't just internal Tory squabbling. This is about the very soul of British conservatism and whether the party can survive its own identity crisis. Now, let's be absolutely clear about what's happening here, because the mainstream media is dancing around the real story. Badenoch hasn't just fired back at critics questioning her leadership. She's essentially accused sections of her own party of racism, suggesting that some believe she only achieved a position through positive discrimination. That's not political sparring. That's thermonuclear warfare in the genteel world of Conservative party politics. When a sitting party leader starts throwing around accusations of ethno-nationalism and DEI hire rhetoric within her own ranks, you know the gloves aren't just off. They've been incinerated. The target of Badenoch's fury is, nominally at least, Robert Jenrick, her former leadership rival who's been building quite the following with his carefully crafted social media presence. We're talking about polished videos featuring English flags and confronting fare evaders, essentially political performance art designed to appeal to the Reform UK voter base that the Conservatives are hemorrhaging. Jenrick's playing a very different game to traditional Conservative politics, and Badenoch clearly sees it as both a threat and a betrayal of what she believes the party should represent. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating and deeply uncomfortable for anyone who thought the Conservative Party had moved beyond questions of race and representation. Badenoch has claimed that critics can't cope with her success because they assume it's down to diversity initiatives cuts right to the heart of contemporary British politics. She's essentially arguing that there's a section of her party that simply cannot accept a black woman in leadership without assuming she's there as some kind of tokenistic appointment. If that doesn't make your blood boil, regardless of your political affiliation, you're not paying attention. The timing of this explosive intervention is crucial. The Conservatives are currently sitting in third place in polling, behind both Labour and Reform UK, a position that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Badenoch's leadership has thus far failed to arrest the party's decline, and internal pressure is clearly mounting. Into this vacuum steps Jenrick with his flag-waving, fair-dodger confronting brand of populist conservatism that's designed to win back voters who defected to Nigel Farage's Reform UK. What Badenoch seems to understand, and what her critics perhaps don't, is that this isn't just about different approaches to conservative messaging. It's about fundamentally different visions of what conservatism should be in modern Britain. Jenrick's approach is essentially Reform UK light, designed to out-populist the populists and win back voters through increasingly hardline positions on immigration, identity, and British nationalism. Badenoch, despite her own robust positions on these issues, appears to be trying to chart a different course, one that doesn't involve a race to the bottom with Reform UK. The personal nature of Badenoch's counterattack is genuinely unprecedented in recent Conservative politics. When she talks about Trump derangement syndrome versus Kemi derangement syndrome, she's not just defending her leadership. She's calling out what she sees as irrational, racially motivated opposition to her very presence at the top of the party. It's a level of candor that British political leaders rarely deploy, and it suggests someone who's reached her limit with coded criticism and dog-whistle politics. Her dismissal of allegations about tardiness and work ethic as racial tropes is particularly striking. Badenoch is essentially arguing that traditional criticisms of political leaders, being late, being lazy, being unprepared, take on a different character when directed at a black leader because they tap into centuries-old racist stereotypes. Whether you agree with this assessment or not, the fact that a Conservative Party leader is making this argument publicly tells you everything you need to know about the current state of internal party dynamics. The broader political context makes this intervention even more significant. The Conservative Party is facing an existential crisis, squeezed between Labour's competent centrism and Reform UK's populist nationalism. Badenoch's challenge, as she acknowledges, is far more complex than anything faced by previous opposition leaders. William Hague, after 1997, was dealing with a simple two-party squeeze. Badenoch is dealing with a three-way split that threatens to make Conservatives permanently irrelevant. Her comparison to Hague is instructive, but perhaps not in the way she intends. Hague spent 4 years in opposition rebuilding the Conservative Party after the 1997 landslide, only to lose again in 2001 before making way for someone else. The difference is that Hague was dealing with a temporary setback in the two-party system. Badenoch might be dealing with permanent realignment in a fractured political landscape. The Reform UK factor cannot be overstated here. Badenoch's description of Nigel Farage as a bullshit artist whose party is just about pulling things down and destroying things reveals both her frustration and her strategy. She's trying to position the Conservatives as a responsible alternative to Reform's destructive populism, but that's a difficult argument to make when your own party members are essentially advocating for a more Farage-friendly approach. What's particularly clever about Jenrick's positioning is how he's managed to appeal to the Reform UK sympathisers within the Conservative Party without explicitly breaking with party orthodoxy. His social media videos are carefully calibrated to signal populist credentials while maintaining plausible deniability about his broader political positions. It's exactly the kind of political shape-shifting that successful opposition politicians master, and Badenoch clearly finds it both effective and deeply cynical. The racial dimension of this conflict adds another layer of complexity that most political commentators are reluctant to address directly. Badenoch's suggestion that some in her party view her through the lens of diversity initiatives rather than merit is an extraordinary accusation to make publicly. It suggests either remarkable courage or complete desperation, possibly both. When a party leader starts publicly discussing the racial dynamics within her own party, you know the internal situation has become completely untenable. The numbers Badenoch cites, 2 to 3 MPs out of 120 actively opposing her, might seem small, but in the context of a parliamentary party that's already been decimated by electoral defeat, even small opposition groups can be hugely destabilizing. The real threat isn't necessarily a formal leadership challenge. It's the constant drip of negative briefings and social media campaigns that undermine her authority and make her appear weak. Her acknowledgement that people are furious because of things that Labour is doing and angry because they think that we left the country in a bad state shows a level of political realism that's often missing from opposition leaders. Badenoch understands that the Conservatives' current problems aren't just about messaging or leadership. They're about a fundamental loss of trust following years of political chaos and economic mismanagement. The challenge he faces is essentially impossible. Rebuild Conservative credibility while fighting off populist challenges, unite a fractured party while calling out internal racism, and chart a distinctive political course while competing for the same voter base as Reform UK. It's political multitasking of the highest order, and frankly, it's not clear that anyone could succeed in these circumstances. What makes this entire saga so compelling is how it encapsulates broader questions about British politics and society. Can a mainstream Conservative Party survive the rise of populist nationalism? Can political leadership transcend racial prejudice, even within supposedly sophisticated political organizations? Can traditional party politics adapt to social media-driven populism without losing its essential character? Badenoch's nuclear response to the sore losers pushing Jenrick represents her attempt to answer these questions through political combat rather than compromise. Whether this approach succeeds or destroys her leadership entirely remains to be seen, but one thing's certain, British Conservative politics will never be quite the same again. So what do you think? Is Badenoch right to call out racial undertones in Conservative Party criticism, or is she playing identity politics to deflect from leadership failures? And can the Tories survive this level of internal warfare while fighting external threats from both Labour and Reform? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to UK Connors. Because in British politics today, the real drama isn't in Parliament. It's in the back rooms and WhatsApp groups where the future of political parties gets decided.